This video is a collection of old 8mm home movies. It was taken first by my dad and then by me some 60 to 80 years ago. My dad, John Call Sr., began sailing at Lake Wawasee in the mid 1930s. He took 8mm home movies of sailing beginning about 1936, which was before I was born. Around 1950, when I was about 12 years old, I got interested in taking movies and took most of the color movies that appear later in this video. These old movies sat neglected in various closets, attics, and garages until this year, when they were converted to computer files. I've edited these files to make this video by selecting the ones that are devoted to sailing. These were all silent movies. Titles and some narration have been added to help identify what you'll be seeing. I hope you enjoy it. My dad took the first of these at a Mackinac race on Lake Michigan in 1936. That race was won by an Alden sloop named the Ruby Yacht, after the book of poetry by Omar Khayyam. I remember my dad talking about the race and about the winner. He remembered that possibly because he liked the poetry as much as the boat. I have no idea where these were taken. It looks like along a breakwater somewhere. Seems to be sand dunes in the background in some of them, so possibly it was in upstate Michigan. I'm not sure. And these next pictures were taken by my dad at Lake Wawasee around 1936. The poor quality of the movies is due in part to the poor quality of the film at the time, but also to the fact that these movies were run through a projector many times and got scratched up. So that's what's causing a lot of that black and white static that you see. These next scenes were taken by me in black and white at the pier at the Wawasee Yacht Club. That's Joe Plaskett's H-28 leaving the dock That's my mother standing next to the mast on the left. My brother and my dad leaving the pier. My brother crewed for my dad all the time before my brother got his own boat. And this is Joe Plaskett's H-28 again. And my dad and brother. Not much wind. It's a lightning, also in not much wind. Kind of a typical summer day on Wawasee. Tom Graham resorting to the use of a paddle on his dad's Lightning. Nancy Plaskett. Sue Plaskett hiding behind the pier's mast. This is the H-28 coming in, I think, to pick up me, because I'm apparently going to go out on the H-28 to watch the race. Barbie Hess. Sue Plaskett diving off the pier. This is a mark near the Wawasee Yacht Club, Snipes and Lightnings going around it. You can see that the wind has picked up a little bit. That darker boat is my dad and brother passing in front of the Waco dance hall, you can see in the distance. I was apparently taking these pictures from on board Joe Plaskett's H-28. That's Eleanor Plaskett holding probably a grandchild in her lap. Joe Plaskett at the helm in the rear. And next picture is my brother and dad moving along in a good wind. After that, my brother is going to narrate some color movies that I took at the Wawasee Yacht Club. That was an Emmons Snipe built, I don't know, maybe 58, something like that, or no, before that. That's the Wawasee Yacht Club in the distance, fading onto Pat McCarty's house and goddamn Reedhart's house, and our friend Dave Ripp's house. That's the Wawasee Yacht Club dorm, as we used to call it. It's been changed now to individual rooms. That's Joe Plaskett's H-28, probably the most gorgeous H-28 ever built. It was just perfect. He built himself. He built himself in his spare time. He was a high school principal. It's a Lightning class. I don't know whose. Moored in front of the yacht club. Everybody moored in front of the yacht club in those days. Nobody used a pier. That's a
22 square meter. There were 4 or 5 of those on the boats. There were Scandinavian boats. They were absolutely gorgeous, and they were also fast. Back, of course, the Yacht Club waterfront, 22 square meter again. Moving on down toward Waco Point, there's a Waco Dance Hall and Waco Point just beyond it. That, I suspect, is looking across Lake Wawasee. Yeah, it is. That's the shore down to our left as we stood looking at the lake on the Yacht Club property. There's another lightning moored there. There's a C-Skow, probably Doc Bolson's. I think he had the only C-Skow left.
Sphinx Hotel in those days.
Yeah, the Spink Hotel was a big tan building across the lake. That's Doc Bolson himself. Sue Plaskett, Nancy Plaskett. They didn't hurt the scenery any. Bruce Baden, Paul Hess, and his Lightning. Dorothy Hess, Charlie Call, and that probably is Barbie Hess. Joe Plaskett, the guy that built the boat. Bruce Baden, his son-in-law. Charlie Call, the swimmer, with a bull on his head, Amish haircut. That's our dad, John Call, walking toward the land on the Yacht Club Pier. That's the Wawasee Yacht Club Pier. People would row out in the morning, get their boats, and bring them into the pier and keep them there all day, and then they'd leave them back on the mooring at night. They were afraid of storms and afraid that a storm with boats tied to it would tear the pier apart because they'd seen that sort of thing happen. More snipes. I can't read those sail numbers anymore because I can't, but I might recognize them if I could. This guy's rounding a weather mark. Looks like he's probably in the lead. Whoever that is. Be a better story if I knew who it was. The light green boat may be Dick Tillman. And with 2 boats close behind him. Not much wind. Not much wind. We've been used to that on Wawasee all this summer. We haven't had any wind. That was a famous Dodez design racing buoy, which were just miserable to put in and take out. A snipe in very little wind, just come up around the weather mark. The upwind mark, in other words. 2 more snipes. I don't know who it was. That was the largest. That's Buddy. Can't think of his last name, from Diamond Lake. I remember the boat number. That's got to be the Wawasee Yacht Club trophy presentation, because those are Wawasee Yacht Club tables. I recognize them after all these years. This is Frank Levinson Jr.
That's Frank Sr. sitting down there.
Senior sitting down, and Buzzy Levinson in the T-shirt with no hat, and Harry Levinson. Levinsons did all right in those days. Well, Levinsons did all right. Martin Heller from Anderson.
The narration by my brother got interrupted here, so I'll pick it up. That's Ed Dodez, who was narrating the trophy presentation. My mother, Helen Call. Whitey Berger scratching his back. Ed Dodez again. I don't know who that young man is. That's a 1952, I think, Plymouth red convertible my dad owned. Sue Plaskett. This is a bulletin board showing the boats entered in the race. Those from Wawasee that are listed are Harry Levinson, Jack Tillman, Frank Levinson, Mark Heller, Buzz Levinson, and John Call. Boats at the dock preparing to go out for another race. That's Buzzy Levinson. And these are Snipes getting ready for another start. And this appears to be a start. That's the committee boat on the far side down there. And they're off. And these are Snipes jibing around a mark, getting their whisker poles out and heading downwind. And the races are over. This is the trophy ceremony. That's my dad speaking on the lawn of the Wawasee Yacht Club. These are pictures of lightning sailors taken at a later time. That's my dad jumping off a lightning onto the beach. I do not know who that person is. That's Whitey Berger climbing onto a powerboat. Lightnings became increasingly popular in the mid-50s at Wawasee. And this is yet another trophy presentation on the lawn at the Wawasee Yacht Club, probably for a lightning regatta. Dorothy Hess. I believe that's June Dodez and Ed Dodez in the middle with the white sailor's hat on. Next, we're going to turn to some home movies I took of a regatta at Diamond Lake, Michigan, a Snipe regatta and a C-Skow regatta, and my brother will identify the people you see there.
That's Bob Poff from South Bend. This is at the Diamond Lake Yacht Club, probably a Snipe regatta, probably the only reason we would have been there. That's Walker Winslow, who was the eternal race committee chairman. I don't know who that's a Verily Snipe. That's a Rumsey Yacht Snipe. These are the builders of those boats. And a lot of different builders represented there. Snipes up on the trailers. That's where we kept them when we weren't sailing them. Kept them out of the water, kept them dry, kept them lightweight. This is back at the Diamond Lake Yacht Club again. It's probably Diamond Lake, probably the Diamond Lake Regatta. I'm almost sure it is. There's C-Skows, which were probably the largest fleet on Diamond Lake. They were really neat boats. I always wanted one. More C-Skows. A lot of them. They're bigger, faster boats. Racing upwind. The guy in the red deck is doing well. And when he tacks, he's going to come back to the left and he'll be in good shape against those boats down there below him who have no wind. A Johnson 10 horse on a hydroplane of some sort. Wooden power boats, of course. Everybody had a wooden power boat in those days. Seems as though. More Snipes. Back to the class that we raced in. A lot of them. Looks like they're getting ready for a start. Looks like they just shot a gun there of some sort. I don't know who that is.
These next pictures are of a Snipe regatta, I think at Peoria, although it might have been at Gull Lake, might have been at Eagle Lake. I'm not sure. I have forgotten. That's my dad in the middle, talking to Buzzy Levinson on the right. That's Bill Krieg and Jenny Krieg. I crewed for Bill quite a bit. Other people clapping and collecting trophies. the Tillmans. Buzzy, apparently collecting a trophy. And Buzzy giving a speech. And here are home movies of yet another snipe regatta at a uncertain location. I think probably Eagle Lake around 1953. And finally, we switched to a little later time, around 1954, when they opened up Geist Reservoir near Indianapolis for sailing. This is the main dock at the Indianapolis Sailing Association with some lightnings, I think, moored out there. This is the inside of the new clubhouse, unfinished, still has bare plywood walls. That's my mother, followed by me. And some people I don't recognize standing in the doorway. That's me playing with a float, walking back towards a gray Pontiac that we owned at the time. A red penguin moored near the loading point. There was only one loading point at that time, and it was, as I remember, a small hand-cranked crane that was used to lift the boats off the trailers and drop them in the water. We have a group of snipes moored at the small dock there. That's Buzzy Levinson with the yellow sweater and the white hat. My mother is behind him with the red sweater. you can see the person in the red plaid shirt cranking the crank to lift that blue snipe out of the water. Took several people to get a boat in or out, and normally there were a number of sailors all going in and out at the same time, so there were lots of people around to help, and the help was appreciated and needed. The yellow boat on the trailer is the Reply the Fifth, which was my dad's snipe at the time. And this concludes the collection of old sailing movies taken 60 to 80 years ago. I hope you've enjoyed it.